Hey, friends, and welcome back to a Reddit rainbow that's going to be a little longer than the others. Somebody asked not too long ago if I would try doing a few stories so I could make fill up someone's lunch. I don't know if I can fill up a lunch, but I can definitely make read a few stories and see what happens from there. I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but I hope you enjoy. And what are you having for lunch? If you're watching this on your lunch, what are you having for lunch right now? Slappa usually makes me something delicious or breakfast related. I love eating breakfast when it's not breakfast time. That's like my favorite thing to do. Slappa usually makes me like lately he's been making some ham and onion and some eggs. Like, he scrambles it all together and then we've been like eating slices of avocado with it with some bread. Ooh, like a croissant or like a piece of toast. Oh, it's been heaven. I like breakfast. I like breakfast at all times. But anyway, all right, y'all. So, I guess a couple of these stories are boundary related. I find myself kind of lacking in the boundary department these days. I feel like I've been more than a little shook lately at my job. I feel like I'm kind of struggling treading water at my job right now. So I feel like all of my morals and boundaries, not my morals, so I feel like all my boundaries and like everything's all shaken and unstable right now. And I got to say my boundaries seem like ass right now, but if I'm being honest, they're not, because obviously I'm not doing anything I don't want to be doing and I'm doing it at my pace. It just makes me feel unsteady, but I don't know. I don't know. Boundaries are good, and everybody needs a good refresher on what good boundaries are. Whether they're shaky or not, we got to have good ones, right? Because if we don't, people are just going to use us, they're going to abuse us, and it's not going to be good, right? Right. All right. So let me go ahead. Start with the story called Am I the Asshole for Sticking to My Financial Rules My Husband Made Years Ago? Obligatory throwaway. When my husband R and I first moved in together, we started putting a percent of our earnings into a joint account to cover rent, bills, etc. He explained he had a side business and insisted that his money from it was for his personal use. I was fine with this arrangement. Okay. I'm not okay with it, but all right. The first few years together, he was doing pretty well in the realm of $300 to $500 per week. However, over the last couple years, it's really dropped off, and he's had a few issues with orders and demand. But whatever the reason, he's been getting maybe up to $50 on a good week, often nothing. Meanwhile, I began my own side gig last October, which really took off to my great surprise. When I started, I said that I would use any profits for fun experiences, thinking it would be a couple hundred a month. I'm around 8,000 for sales, of which I've used to fund family days out, make birthdays, and a Christmas a little grander. I've also put down a deposit on a holiday, which R was completely on board with. But now R is getting bitter about how well I'm doing. He had made a few snide comments, but now it feels like outright disdain. I bought our son an iPad for his birthday this week, and this sent my husband over the edge. It's unfair that he hasn't bought himself so much as a new video game in months, but our son gets an iPad. You're a grown ass man. Like, go buy yourself a fucking iPad. Like, I mean, what? I know that we're like staying away from like buying new things, you know what I'm saying? Especially new electronics. But seriously, you can't go find a refurbished iPad and just go buy it real quick. Like, what's wrong with you anyway? Tonight, it turned into a fight about how I'm buying all these lavish things when he can't afford them anymore. He told me that because I'm now getting all this extra income, I should be putting more into our joint account so that he can keep more of his paycheck to himself. But I thought his money was for him and his expenses and his fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, all right. I must stress that all of our bills are covered, and he does have money each week left over from his salary. It's only been since launching that I've had the ability to splurge, whereas previously I had to save for bigger things. So I refused. He had set the rule that his side earnings were just for him, and it's only fair that the same rule applies to me. There were months where he was making thousands a month and we never changed our budget. I've spent years watching him buy new computers, consoles, an ungodly amount of money on card games, and I've never complained. It's not reasonable to try and change the rule now that it doesn't suit him, and it's not like he's not benefiting from the experiences and the holidays. Bro, this sounds terrible. This sounds absolutely awful. So he bought nothing for you? Y'all are married and he does nothing for you? That's crazy town. He tried to argue that it was different, but couldn't say how other than he hasn't made that sort of money in ages. I stood firm in my no. He called me a few choice names and stormed out. I know what's good for the goose should be good for the gander, but I just kind of feel bad. There were times when I was jealous that I had to save for months for things he could just buy outright. So I empathize. But I also wonder if I'm jaded now because of it. Like maybe putting an extra 100 into the joint account would be worth avoiding the argument. Am I the asshole for refusing because of the rule he established years ago? Absolutely not. And don't pick that boundary up. But in fact, let's read this top comment because it says exactly what I'm thinking. Completely agree that you're not the asshole, but have you considered putting some of the money from your side gig into a savings account? Yes, because I don't know how sustainable things are, especially because like it seems like you just woke up. You just noticed that he's being completely unreasonable. Is it going to get worse? Completely agree that you're not the asshole, but have you considered putting some money away? Just in case things go sideways with your husband? I was in a similar situation. Ex husband earned 3 times what I did until I started a hustle. I bought a dishwasher, paid for takeout, clothes for the kids, including my stepdaughter, and he got more and more resentful. We ended up losing the house because he was treating himself to stuff but couldn't afford his side of the mortgage, childcare fees, and during discussions, it came out how bitter he felt that I was able to constantly treat the family while he couldn't afford to. All I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with having a rainy day fund, especially if your husband has now reached name calling and storming out in anger. Protect yourself and your kids in case things worsen. I wish you much luck. I do luckily already have an emergency fund that doesn't get touched outside of proper emergencies. My first real relationship ended in domestic violence, so I've always been adamant that I have something put away in case things go sideways. I've luckily not had to consider using it, but I'd rather have it than not. And it's also nice to know that there's money should the roof ever collapse out of the blue. I understand that maybe he's bitter that I'm able to fund all these family outings, but he also had the chance to do so and chose not to. The kids are older now and can do more things, but I also always was the one paying for zoo trips and movies, even when he was making so much more. Bro, I think you're in another abusive relationship. You might have been being financially abused and you didn't even know, but now you've met him on the same playing field. I bet. What if that's what happened? Oh my gosh, that's crazy town. Ugh, I hate it. What do y'all think about that story? Wild ride, right? Like, I just can't. I just can't even think about it. Like, even though Slap doesn't have a job, right? Slap still does whatever and anything. He does whatever he can for me. He does anything for me just because he can't contribute in other ways. He contributes in so many more ways. So you're telling me that this man was buying himself all these new gadgets and stuff, but he wasn't paying for some ice cream at the fucking zoo? That's insane. That's insane. I'm done. I'm tired of him. Boundaries are good, and I hope she keeps that boundary. But if I'm being totally honest with you, I feel like there's a lot more resentment going on than she's letting on. Like, she's saying that he's like, it's obvious that he's building resentment, right? So, this whole money thing is only a surface issue. This is not about the Iranian yogurt like all day long. This is definitely the surface, and there's so much more going on underneath. And I will never understand why kept men like Mr. Dolly Parton, just won't sit back and just collect a fucking paycheck. Just collect a fucking paycheck, okay? God dang. Oh my gosh. We're going to keep going on this premise of boundaries. And Slappa, we're going to do a Slappa's Choice right now. Slappa's Choice. If you know, you know. I'm going to read this story called Am I the Asshole for Telling My Wife That I'm Ending Our Marriage Because I Found Her Brother at My House Again and Said it in front of him? How'd you find her? Wait, hold on. Maybe I've got my head in the gutter because of the many, many stories we've told in the past, right? Hopefully, this isn't what I thought. I, male 38, left my wife, Kelly, female 38, today. This was yesterday. 5 years together, four married. I have battled her lack of boundaries about her family for the past 2 years. I understand that they're very close knit, but she never paid attention to how their family dynamics affected our relationship. I experienced every just no family situation. My food was eaten, showing up uninvited, meddling, you name it. 9 months ago, mother in law and father in law began divorce proceedings. He cheated, fell madly in love with a side chick whom he's lived with for the past 15 years. And he decided that he wants to get remarried? What the heck? He kicked everyone out of the house. It was emergency, so I agreed to help out. I so fucking regret it. I had to take 4 people in, but they couldn't think to avoid constantly pissing me off. I got so sick of finding them using our private bathroom. They had complete access to the other full bathroom by the hallway. Sister-in-law started taking naps in our bed, which is creepy because a bed is too personal. I came home late and we had to wake her up and still waited for her to snap out of her groggy state so that she could walk out. It lasted for 3 months, but the problems persisted. No matter how many times I told my wife and even told them, they still show up at random hours. Even if I didn't run into them, I know she was allowing them to come over. I hated their presence. They would eat my snacks and get on my expensive recliner chair, which again didn't contribute a penny for. I had a mini orchard that they picked empty. Wow. Things got so tense that I blew up at her in front of them. They left, we fought, and I ended up sleeping in a hotel. I warned her many times about being fed up and needing her to support me, and she acted like I was demanding that she abandon her family. Today, I come home and find her brother's car blocking the entrance, not on the side and not even on the driveway, just right in the middle where my only option would be to get on the lawn. I go inside and he's laying with his shoes on the couch. Ew. Ew. Just ew. Just ew. Oh, that's disgusting. He gave me this fresh smile like he's untouchable, and I went to our bedroom and packed as much of my belongings as possible and ignored her pleas to talk. There's nothing else to talk about. I already called a few lawyers, but I haven't received any replies yet. She cried, but at this point, I have no empathy. I don't even know if I overreacted or if I just need to discuss this in private. I feel defeated and angry, and also I hate her family with my soul. They knew they were hurting our relationship and they did not care. She knew that I'm a private person who hates being invaded. I helped them because I love her and didn't have the balls to let them sleep in a car. We don't have kids, but there are so many things that will be left undone. I loved her so much, but I just can't do this. She called me immediately after I left and I told her that my decision is final. She sounded shaken, but I told her that right now I despise her and will never be able to sleep next to her again. Sorry for any typos. I have a migraine. I'm just coming here because I wanted to ask if leaving the way I did was an asshole move and maybe I should have announced my intention of ending our marriage after her brother was gone. Nah, not the asshole. They all had plenty of warning. It was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time you were gonna say something, you were gonna leave. So no, not the asshole. All right, so let's read some of these comments. I want to know the brother's reaction to you saying that you were leaving her in front of him. Come on, details. I want details. I want to know details. What's your dad's name? My Bob's Burgers friends there. Nothing. He looked surprised, but mostly kept "it's not my fault. I'm innocent" face as always. Ugh, gross. Ugh, what a nasty individual. This person says, honestly, it sounds like you're escaping more than ending. If you've been putting up with this for this long and your boundaries are just getting ignored, leaving is going to be a breath of fresh air. And I have to agree with that, because I will tell you that that when I finally got away from my abuser, my abusive ex, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like it was like I was at the bottom of the barrel. I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing, what I was gonna, like, how I was surviving, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden I realized that I didn't need him to let me do anything. Like I could just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can just come home and there's not going to be people there. Whoa. Like that's crazy, right? Like then, like, you know, like you take these little things for granted. Like I am so thankful that I don't come home and there's random people in my house. You know what I'm saying? I am so thankful for that little thing that I didn't know I should be thankful for. But oh my gosh, boundaries. Am I right? He let his get walked over for years and years, and he finally said enough. And I hope he never picks that boundary back up. What do y'all think, though? Do y'all think that he and the wife can make it work? Or do you think that the wife is just going to let it happen? Do you think the wife is just going to let her family just ruin her life? Do you think that she's going to let them ruin her next relationship? Is she even going to be able to date ever again? Ugh, sickening. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Am I the asshole for telling my job I can't come in early because they cut my hours? My workplace just got bought out by a big corporation. They've been cutting hours in every department, even though we are getting busy with warmer weather. I work at a golf course slash private country club for context. The new corporate manager has cut my hours just by 2 a day. I come in an hour later than I used to, and I leave an hour earlier than before. I mentioned on Tuesday how busy work would be on Friday and offered to come in earlier if they needed. Corporate manager said no, but thank you. Fast forward to today. I get a text asking me to come in early tomorrow at my previously regularly scheduled time, and I said no. Am I the asshole? I offered to come in early days ago. I've barely bitched about the hours they have cut in my schedule, and now they realize the day before how truly busy it will be tomorrow. They want me to come in early, and I feel like I have nobody to ask about this because I know my family would just say to suck it up and go early to make money. But I feel like this is more about principle than anything. If they wanted me early, they shouldn't have cut my hours. So am I the asshole? Update on today. The schedule for next week was sent out and I'm back to my previous hours. They added my hours back and I'm feeling so grateful that I kept my boundaries firm. Thank you to everyone who agreed and to those who did not. I'm still taking your advice and looking for a new job because corporate greed will always win in the end. But for now, I've got my hours back and I'm pretty stoked about it. Nice, not the asshole. And I would read the comments here, but the comments are all about the original post and not the update. So I'm not going to read any comments, but good for them. And also, man, my family did not tell me to do shit like that. My parents were like, "No, you stand firm. You start when you start and you end when you end." You know what I'm saying? And like if they're being assholes to you, you fucking leave. You fucking leave. It like reminds me of that time in King of the Hill, right? I'm a Texan. I love me some King of the Hill. Listen, there's an episode where Bobby Hill has a job and he's working at a racetrack, and there's this dude named Jimmy Witchard, and he's like the worst boss anybody could ask for. He works long hours. He is the go-to guy. Nothing is good enough for him. And then it turns out that he's not all there and that he's actually insane and that anybody working for them is also insane. And then what I'm relating to the story is that like Hank Hill did not look into Jimmy He didn't look into the manager. He didn't ask questions. My parents asked all sorts of questions when I had a job, and I was living at home. They wanted to know like who my manager was, what a good phone number was for them. You know what I'm saying? Like my family came in a few times, met the coworkers. Like, nah, like my parents knew a little bit about my job, but just enough to just enough in case I went missing. Okay, like enough just in case I went missing, they could be like, "Oh, her, him, that," you know what I'm saying? But like he didn't look Hank Hill did not look into anything at all about this Jimmy Witchard. And it took Dale saying, "Oh, that dude's an idiot." You know what I'm saying? And he's not all there, that Hank finally did something. I will not be that parent who will force my kid to go to work when they're treating me badly. I would not force my kid to go early if I was their parent. And obviously, they didn't say anything to their family. Otherwise, their family would have said that. But I'm just like, I wouldn't be that parent. Slappa, would you be that parent? Hell nah. Like, capitalism can suck my vagina, okay? My vagooter. All right, let's read one more story, guys. This story, I, I feel biased because my best friend is probably like several years older than me, and he's a man, and we often have movie night together. So grab your vibes and delights, and let's jump into this story called "Am I the Asshole for Not Letting My Girlfriend Have Movie Night with Our Colleague Male?" Am I the asshole for not letting my girlfriend 20 have a movie night with our colleague male 40? Hi, I think I'm going insane over this, and I want to hear what Am I the Asshole thinks of this. Again, I'm going to try and be as kind as I can and as neutral as I can. But if I'm being totally honest with you, me and my best friend used to have a movie night once a week. You know what I'm saying? And Slappa never felt any sort of way. I always came home within time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always like I didn't do anything. We just watched movies and got high. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's a nerd just like me. We love all the same cartoons. We love all the same cartoons. So it was more like he was both of our best friend and not just my best friend. But let's see what this guy has to say. Slappa says that my best friend also isn't 20 years older than me, and I'm not a 20-year-old girl. So let's keep going with that in mind. Me, male, 21, and my girlfriend, 20, have been together since I was 16 and she was 15. And we have been inseparable since then until now. We work at the same company and have done so for about 2 years. We even work in the same section. So lately, she's been getting closer to our male colleague, 40, and I have not seen a problem with this since he's like 40. But recently, they've wanted to hang out after work separately from me and our other friends. Things they do: just go for a walk, run, or hikes, which normally takes about 40 minutes to an hour, which I guess is normal. But now my girlfriend wants to have a movie night at his house, and they're going to watch the latest Fast and the Furious movie. I asked to join, but they want to be alone because they're going to talk about friend stuff. She said they were like best girlfriends. At first, I thought, okay, that's fine, I guess, because again, he's 40. But now, after the fact, I'm starting to worry that they're getting a little too close. Am I going crazy? Or is this something male girlfriends do normally? I will say that it is, but I also have a strange life. I don't really have any experience in that because I really don't have any girlfriends that I am close with except my girlfriend. All right, so I know there's more on there, but there is a separate update, and most of the update is the words that are right there. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to the update and read this, and he like retells the story, and then the edit because I just wanted to add some details. First, she's acting normal, loving, caring, overall, like the girl I fell in love with. Second, I may be a little bit arrogant, but if I may self glaze a little, I am 6'4", blonde, fit from going to the gym for 5 years. Love cooking, traveling, and hanging with friends and family. He is 5'8", bald, not really fat, but more on the out of shape side, and is kind of a gamer, I guess. And I mean computer games, so he only has a handful of friends, and the same at work. I do not say this to bully him or belittle him in any way. It's just straight facts. But they like going on walks and hikes and stuff together. So is he really out of shape or is he just a 40-year-old? Slappa mentions that it wasn't weird until he offered to go with them and they said no. And I was like, well, I would say no to you too, but that's a logistics thing. Like, I'd have to go home, pick him up, and then come back to town, right? So I would say no to him. And I also just find I'm just like making a lot of excuses, but like, I just don't think it just seems innocent to me. I don't know. I will also say that me and my best friend, like we like all the same things. Like, we all like all the same things, but Slappa does not get into it like me and my best friend do. Like Steven Universe, like the lore with Steven Universe, he does not care. Like, he does, but it's like nothing to him. You know what I mean? Not like me and like my best friend will be like crying on the couch and Slappa would just be like, "Are y'all good?" My girlfriend said that after meeting some of his friends at a local get together, she said it felt weird because she was so much younger than everyone at that specific table, and she just kept it short when she said hi to them. Finally, if you put all this together, I can't see any reason to why I should have been suspicious earlier. Update. Thanks for all your comments and DMs. There's no way I can answer them all, so I'll try to make an update now as I feel almost responsible to do it for the big response from the community. She actually went through with it. Earlier today, we sat down to discuss how I felt about this whole thing and how it's weird for her to go alone to him and he's fucking 40, but she's not going home to him. Like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was very clear about my opinion not being excluded from this whole thing and that it's not all right for me to feel like I'm third wheeling my own relationship. Her answer, I didn't take you for such an insecure man after 5 years together, and honestly, this kind of broke me. How is it okay for her to just set my feelings aside with a comment like that? I must admit, I'm absolutely not the best with expressing my feelings in this kind of way, and it feels very uncomfortable for me to open up like that to someone, even if we have been together for years. And I can kind of see why when that was her response. After that one little comment, it really sank in that she really didn't care about me anymore. What? The rest of the conversation went downhill from there. I started to accuse her for cheating, and she started throwing a fit about how dare I accuse her of things like that after 5 years and how I didn't trust her. After about 20 minutes of this, I honestly broke down. So I just walked out, didn't say anything, just walked. I was out for 30 minutes just to try and clear my head from this whole conversation. When I came back, she was waiting for me with just one question. Do you think I cheated on you? And I said, yes, I do. And then I did something really stupid. I showed her my first post to get my point across even more that the things I'm feeling and thinking about is the all around opinion in the comments. And she was stunned and silent for a bit. And I really think she kind of saw why I felt the way I did. Her response after that, I must go. The 40-year-old is waiting for me to start the movie. What? He's like spiraling because it's not making any sense anymore. And he's just, there's so many spelling errors. Poor guy. I just think he's blowing up his relationship over nothing. But who knows? And I think we should have a small break from each other. Then she went to him after our fight. What did it do? What did I do? I went to my father at his work and actually cried in his arms for the first time in probably 15 years. And now I'm at home in bed, have talked to my landlord, and she's very understanding. And she said that I can take my name off the lease anytime I want. And what now? I'm in my bed, feeling totally empty, numb, sick, and furious. And to be honest, I went kind of off the hook when I came back from my dad. I threw some shit on the floor, actually cut the network cable from the wall, as she's maintaining a blog that she's very passionate about. I won't link it, so don't even ask, as I don't want to give that piece of shit any more activity on it. This update went probably just the way people expected it to. You blew up your own relationship with no proof. Like, so I hope people are happy that my relationship is probably 100% over and to spare me in the future. But please, how can I come out on top of this? I have to see both on Monday when we get to work. and I don't think I can handle this. So please, advice is more than welcome. I might do another update later on if I can mentally go through this again. As for now, I literally can't handle it. I'm breaking down just writing this. The fact that she went to him after your argument speak volumes. That's her friend. Everybody thinks that she's cheating. Maybe I'm just a super nice person. I just didn't see anything harmful in that, other than the fact that he asked to join and they vehemently said no. And who's to say that they vehemently said no? What if they were just like, really, it's not your vibe? What if they just said it's not your vibe? You probably won't even like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows? Dude is spiraling. Everybody's saying that she's cheating. Good for him though, because he felt like she was cheating and he stood firm, and he left when when he left, she left, they broke up. Good for you, I guess. I mean, like, I just think he should have gathered more proof than blowing up his relationship. But if that's what he was feeling, fine. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else seems to think that she was cheating too. I don't necessarily think that they were cheating. Like, yeah, it seems suspicious and weird, but people also think me and my best friend are suspicious and weird. Like, people at work thought we were sleeping together. People didn't even know I was married, let alone a mom at my job. That's how little I liked those people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was nothing going on, and yet people still thought that. So it is what it is. But all right, guys, that's all I'm gonna read today. I'm getting tired because I'm frosty, but like at the same time I need to re-up as well. So it's like that I need to re-up feeling. But all right, guys, what do y'all think about the stories I told you? Do you have any stories that you want to tell me about boundaries? Join the Discord channel. Show us your pets, and I will be happy to read whatever story you want to read. I also just want to tell you guys how much I really adore you guys, how much I really care for you guys. Thank y'all for still being here. Thank y'all for hanging around. Follow me everywhere, because I heard TikTok is about to die in about a week again. And by the way, again, just the way that the app has always treated me this last like 2 years, it feels like I don't really care. Make sure you're following me on Blue Sky on Instagram. Make sure you're following me on Red Note. Like, make sure you're following me literally everywhere. Because like, oh, and please follow the YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube, because I'm trying so hard to get to 1,000. I just want to get to 1,000 so bad. Like, it's just like, it's worse than TikTok. When I remember I was at 999 for days. It felt like for days I was like relentlessly making content, like doing makeup, telling stories, being my weird self. Like, oh man, help me get to 1,000, y'all. All right, cool. But I love you guys so much. Join the Discord. Show us your pets. Tell me what you thought about these stories. I love you guys so much. And as always, I'll catch y'all later. Mwah.